Hey everybody, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. This is my orchid collection. Hope you enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Me, Stephen Van Camp, and Lewis, and Dustin from Here But Not had a good discussion. We could have gone on a lot longer, and hopefully we will be able to have further discussions in the future. There was just so much information I wanted to pick out of Justin's brain. But I digress. So thanks for watching that, and thanks again to Dustin and Stephen. That was a lot of fun. All right, let's look at the orchid collection. We are currently in, let's see, it's the end of the first week of February. That means we have just until the end of February until the rainy season returns to the Cattleyas, and especially for Cattleya rex, this is a new cultural thing that I'm doing this year, because in the past I would keep them in dry season until I saw new growth, and basically as soon as I saw new growth, like this size, I would go ahead and start watering normally and fertilizing and everything. But this year, I paid a little bit closer attention to the climate data from the town of Moyobamba in Peru, which is near where Cattleya rex is found in the wild, and it specifically says that it shows that the rainy season is actually the dry season is actually the third month is the driest month, and then the fourth month is slightly wetter than the driest month. But so I'm trying to follow that this year just to see what happens. I read an article by Harry Blossfeld from the 1940s that said that Cattleya rex blooms shortly after the dry season. And so kind of the big experiment that's happening right now is, will they follow that same pattern in cultivation if I create those same conditions? And I have to say, right now it's looking like that's exactly what's happening. I started my dry season back in November. That means that I cut back watering, and I also cut back fertilizer to much less than I used during the growing season. So normally I use like 25 parts per million per watering of nitrogen, and in the winter it's like a fifth of that or less. Many waterings with just no fertilizer at all, especially during this past month. And what I'm seeing is that the plants did start growing as early as November, some of them, but most of them in December started growing. And some of them, like this one, this is Iliapu. It's named because, well, I name my Cattleya rexes when they bloom. So this one bloomed last year and got the name Iliapu. And look how far along the growth is. And in fact, you can see that it's starting to split here. That leaf will start splitting open within the next few days. And I've already done the flashlight thing where you put the flashlight next to it at night, and I could see a sheath inside. So this looks to be a blooming growth, and so that means that this plant will be growing, blooming, as predicted using that climate data in Blossfeld's notes, that in fact maybe this plant really does bloom just after the dry season in the wild. And if I create those wild conditions in my tent, I can get them to do the same thing, which is going to totally throw things off, because in the United States, well, Northern Hemisphere, I guess, Cattleya rex is known as a summer bloomer. Cattleyas, Chadwick's book about Cattleyas has a graph of all the different blooming times of different Cattleya species and rexes right there in July and August. And that's how they bloomed for me when I was growing them conventionally with a kind of a cooler winter. But I have kept the daytime temperatures warm all winter long, and they are falling more into what I understand to be their natural rhythm, which is really cool, because this might be the best way to avoid your worst enemy with a delicate Cattleya like rex, very intolerant to changes and cultural changes and temperature changes. If you can keep those temperatures stable, that might be the key to really avoiding rot, pseudobulb rot. And actually, talking about rot, I noticed on this rex, this is Cattleya, it was one of the first to bloom. Look at that spot on that pseudobulb. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to move this guy out of the way. Out of the way. Look at that. And I've noticed that it was a spot before, but it is definitely growing. And look at the base of the pseudobulb there too. Also kind of a black. So I don't know exactly what it is. I would guess that it's a bacteria, given the way that it's spread. But I don't feel super panicked about it. Like I'm gonna leave it alone and continue to just kind of watch it. I do expect it to keep spreading, and yet I'm not super concerned with cutting off the back of the plant just yet. Kind of want to disturb the plant. I want to disturb the plant only if really absolutely necessary. So we're gonna see how that progresses. If it stops, that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it spreads to the next bulb. But can you even see? Yeah, the next bulb over. If that happens, that's an emergency situation, and I'll have to cut it right about here, or even further along. And that's gonna suck because that's gonna mess up everything. But sometimes you have to save your plants and not sacrifice getting flowers one year. So yeah, that's the idea. That Cattleya rex seems to be doing what Cattleya rex does in the wild, according to the few records that I have. So that's exciting. So we'll have a really early bloom on this one. We're talking, I would assume by the end of March we'll have buds at least, maybe open flowers. And then there's several plants that are right behind it. We got this one, Cattleya rex Mayu. Mayu bloomed last year and got an HCC from the American Orchid Society. Mayu's got 3 growths this year, and last year they did not bloom at the same time, so I'm kind of not expecting that to happen this year, but who knows, they might all push out flowers at the same time. That could be awesome, but we're not going to get too excited. This one has no name because it's never bloomed, and it's got, looks like a bloom-sized growth on it, so hopefully we'll see flowers out of this one and we can give it its Quechua name. And this one also, believe it or not, this is a really nice one that has grown very well over the years and just never bloomed. But I mean, it's been a really good grower. I've had no problems with this one, knock on wood. But you can see this looks like a blooming sized growth. This also looks like a blooming sized growth. So who knows? It might have 2 flower spikes on its first bloom, which would be wonderful. And this one will get its name as well. So yeah, it's kind of getting exciting in here. It's been several months without any flowers, and suddenly it's just going to be like, one day it's just going to be like, boom, explosion of flowers. Cattleya rex flowers. Oh, I haven't looked at this one yet. This one's name is Orchid, and it is gigantic, and the new growth on it too are humongous. So that's super exciting. I wonder how many flowers those will be capable of pushing out. Going back to the idea of not watering even as they're growing, is if you think about it, if this is the way they grow in nature, it kind of makes sense. Notice that they don't root. Notice that the new growths don't root until they're already complete. That could make sense. Like, why would it root during the dry season? Why wouldn't it wait until it's raining and then it can start putting out roots that are going to pull up that water? So I'm wondering about that. But there's an article by Chadwick about Varsovicii and how it blooms best if not watered or fertilized until the new growth is about 4 inches tall. What is 4 inches? 10, 12 centimeters. So I wonder if that's the case for Rex too, because so far I've gotten 4 flowers on a spike. That's the most I've seen, which is not bad, but Rex is supposed to be particularly floriferous for Cattleya with up to 10 flowers on a spike. Sounds unreal, but I wonder if this is the way to do it, to kind of keep those dry season conditions with less water and less fertilizer And then when that rainy season starts in March and you just suddenly get a huge increase in rainfall, and with that fertilizer and nutrients, I wonder. I really wonder. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this year, because this is really the first year that I've been so attuned to getting these conditions as similar as possible to their natural conditions. So, yeah, it's getting exciting in here. It really is. We've been looking at the seedlings several weeks in a row, but it's okay. They just grow so fast for orchids, you know. This Blossfeldiana is about to crawl out of its pot. And these Dowianas have got just wonderful big leaves pushing out. This is Catasetinae AC Bridge. It's a mericlone of a very old plant. And it looks like it's almost big enough to bloom. Like if it puts out 2 growths this year, Trianae are supposed to put out 2 growths a year, as I have read but have not actually experienced, then the second one might be big enough to bloom. We'll see. But Chadwick's Orchids actually posted a picture of the blooming flower of AC Burridge on their Instagram this week, and it's very exciting. It's such a big, floofy, gorgeous flower. Really excited about that, and excited to have Trianae, because Catasetinae blooms about right now, and about January, February. So that'd be nice to have flowers at that time of year. And I have 3 Trianaes now, so hopefully one day we'll have some blooms on those. What else? More seedlings. I've been showing you this one. This is a Rex from Periflora that's really just taken off. You can see how the new growth is more like a sympodial pseudobulb type deal. So that's awesome. And look at the color too. Look how red the leaves are. That's a good indication that we might have some really good color in the flowers as well. That is pretty cool. What else have we got here? Fungus gnat population seems to be increasing. I think I jinxed it when I said that they were mostly gone. This is that Cattleya labiata. Super excited. This is from the Christopherson collection. You talk about color. Look at the color on that leaf. Dang. Are you sure that's Cattleya labiata? Yes, I am excited. That's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. Oops. So many roots. I took this plant, Cattleya Jose Marti, I took it out of the tent yesterday and gave it a good rinse in the shower. Ever since talking to Dustin, I'm thinking, okay, I need to rinse my plants more. I really do. But, man, it's huge. It's huge. And it's got new growths pushing already, so if those new growths don't bloom, I'm going to be really frustrated. Like, what the heck, man? It's so big it needs to be divided already. I'm not sure why the bulbs are so shrivelly. It gets watered quite a bit. I wonder if the roots have actually died because I watered it too much. Sometimes that's the reason. Okay, and then real quick, the Catasetum types. We've got Cycnoches cooperi with a nice new growth. Beautiful. And then we've got Cloecia Rebecca Northern. This is the grapefruit pink clone with a new little growth pushing out. Hi. And then we've got Mormodia Jumbo World. I don't know what the heck it's doing. Oh, one of its leaves just dropped off. Is that a growth? Is that another spike? So this is going to be nice this year. Jumping on the grow train already. And then my Cycnotes Wine Delight over here is also pushing out a nice new little growth. And that started a root also. So, Catasetum growing season has started. And yeah, it's great. Thank you guys for joining me. And I will see you next time right here on My Green Pets. Have a great week.